Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. The vast ocean it feeds us, enriches us, and, well, it really sparks our imaginations.
It certainly does.
You sent over a fascinating collection of information this time, covering everything from the best ways to actually hook a fish to the big business side of seafood, and even how Islamic teachings view, our interaction with the marine world.
It's a huge topic when you start pulling at the threads.
Right. So our mission here is to pull out the most captivating and useful insights from this, mountains material, tailored just for you. We're going to explore the cutting edge of fishing tech, look at some timeless principles of sustainability, and even uncover some surprising ways people have become millionaires.
Yeah.
Just by casting a line, essentially.
Yeah, that part's intriguing. But what's fascinating right off the bat is just how many different lenses we can look at fishing through. It's a skill, sure, but it's also a massive economic sector.
Oh, absolutely.
A field where science and tech are just constantly pushing forward. And like you said, a topic with deep ethical and even religious roots. Your sources really highlight that diversity.
Exactly. We've got these detailed guides on different fishing methods. We've got economic analyses breaking down, the value of different catches.
Right.
Thoughtful discussions on Islamic perspectives about the sea, specific seasonal patterns in Oman, which is interesting, and even practical advice for launching a commercial fishing business.
It gives a really comprehensive picture, doesn't it?
It really does. When you connect all those dots, you realize how fundamentally linked we are as societies to marine ecosystems.
Absolutely. These sources show not just how we extract resources, but also the frameworks from cutting-edge tech to, long-standing belief systems that shape how we understand and manage that whole relationship.
So our goal today is to give you a clear, engaging, and maybe even eye-opening look at this multifaceted world. We want to highlight key techniques, the economic realities, the ethical things to keep in mind, and even some interesting regional differences, all without, hopefully, overwhelming anyone.
Keep it manageable.
Exactly. So where should we start? Maybe, with the core fishing techniques and the impressive tech that's changing the game.
That sounds like a good plan. It raises a point, actually. When you picture fishing, what pops into your head? Like a quiet lake, maybe a bobber.
Yeah, something peaceful.
Right. But the sources reveal a much more dynamic and, frankly, technologically advanced world, especially when we talk sea fishing.
You're so right. Okay, let's start with some of those foundational sea fishing techniques. Trolling, for instance, it's more than just dragging the line behind a boat, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Trolling is really strategic. It's aimed at pelagic fish. Those are the ones roaming the open ocean.
Right.
The speed, around 4 to 8 knots usually, that's critical for how the lures behave, how they attract fish. And anglers get clever. They use things like spreader bars.
What are those exactly?
They're like wire or plastic arms that let you present multiple lures at once, sort of mimicking a school of bait fish. And they also use diving planes devices that pull the lures down to specific depths.
Ah, okay.
By controlling that depth, they can target different layers where different species hang out. Think surface waters for mahi-mahi, wahoo, sailfish, mid-levels for tuna and king mackerel, and then you go deep for things like marlin and swordfish.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, right? It's not just guesswork about where the fish might be. Modern trolling uses a lot of tech now.
It really does. The integration of sea surface temperature charts, SST charts, and chlorophyll mapping is a huge advancement.
How does that work?
Well, thermal fronts, where different temperature waters meet, they often concentrate bait fish, so these charts help anglers find those zones.
Okay.
And chlorophyll mapping shows where phytoplankton is, the base of the food web, which also attracts bait fish. Using this satellite data, anglers can seriously increase their chances. Some reports say by as much as 40 to 60%.
Wow, okay. That's a massive advantage.
Yeah.
Right, so that's for the open ocean wanderers. What about fish that stick closer to the seabed? That's bottom fishing.
Exactly. Bottom fishing is your go-to for demersal species, the ones living on or near the ocean floor. And this area has also seen some pretty impressive tech upgrades.
Like what?
Well, think about electric deep drop reels. These things let you present bait accurately at incredible depths, ranking 600, even 1,500 feet.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then you've got LED illuminated rigs, basically lights on your rig to attract fish in the dark depths, kind of mimicking bioluminescence.
That's a world away from just a weight and a hook.
It really is. And even bait itself is getting high-tech. There was a study, I think it was 2024, showing that coating baits with chitosan, it's a natural compound, increased grouper strikes by about 33%.
Why? How does that work?
It likely improves how the scent disperses and maybe how long it lasts in the water. It's all about getting any edge you can.
Amazing. Okay, now, jigging, that sounds more active. You're not just waiting, right?
You're right. Jigging involves working the lure vertically in the water column. And it's actually evolved into some really specialized forms. Slow pitch jigging, for example.
Slow pitch.
Yeah, it uses these specific rods called parabolic rods. They have a very distinct bend and a particular elliptical motion with the rod. The idea is to make the jig flutter down like an injured bait fish.
And that works.
Very effective, apparently, for species like amberjack, dogtooth tuna, snowy grouper.
Okay. And then the opposite end of the spectrum is speed jigging.
Pretty much tells you, right? High-speed retrieve reels, specialized slender jigs, often called knife jigs. You're targeting fast, aggressive predators like yellowtail and kingfish. And tech plays a role here, too. GPS anchoring systems like Minn Kota's Spot Lock let anglers hold their boat precisely over wrecks or other structures where these fish gather.
Right, so you can stay right on top of the fish.
Okay.
So we've hit some major sea techniques. But what about just plain old line fishing? Rod, reel, line. There's still more to that basic setup, I imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, the core is rod, reel, line, hooks, and then some kind of lure or bait. But you often add sinkers for depth, maybe floats to keep bait suspended, or leaders.
Leaders.
Yeah, sections of line at the end. They might be stronger material like wire for toothy fish, or less visible like fluorocarbon to avoid spooking the fish.
Okay.
Spin fishing is super common. You cast, maybe count it down to let it sink, then retrieve it in different ways. But beyond that basic cast and retrieve, you have the more advanced line methods we talked about, like trolling.
Right.
Dead sticking, which is surprisingly effective, just letting a baited line sit still. And then there's fly fishing.
Ah, yes, fly fishing in saltwater. That sounds challenging. Very different from a mountain stream.
It definitely is. Saltwater fly fishing really demands understanding tides and how they affect fish movement.
Yeah.
Take flats poling, for example.
Poling.
Yeah, standing on a shallow draft boat, being pushed quietly with a pole. It's almost like hunting fish you can see, like bonefish or permit, in shallow water. You need specialized gear, longer rods, heavier lines, good polarized sunglasses, even GPS to mark productive spots.
Wow.
And then you have strategies for fishing in the surf, often using two-handed rods for longer casts to get past the breakers for fish like striped bass or bluefish.
It's incredible, the level of specialization.
Yeah.
And it really sounds like technology is weaving its way into almost every aspect.
It's a huge trend. We're now seeing machine learning models crunching massive data sets, satellite imagery showing sea temps and chlorophyll, data from autonomous underwater gliders mapping what's going on below the surface.
Gliders, like little underwater drones.
Pretty much, yeah. And even crowdsourced catch reports from anglers using mobile apps. All this data gets fed into models to generate like 72-hour forecasts of where the fishing should be good.
It's like a weather forecast, but for fish.
In a way, yes, and it's getting scarily accurate. One source mentioned an advance coming in 2025 using AI combined with LiDAR that's laser mapping that improved identifying snapper habitats in the South China Sea by nearly 60%.
60%? That's huge.
It is. And we're also seeing things like line-mounted action cameras, so anglers can literally see how fish react to their lures underwater. And of course, sophisticated electronic fish finders using sonar are pretty standard now, showing fish, structure, depth, temperature, the whole picture.
So yeah, from a simple hook and line to AI predictions, it's quite the journey for fishing technology. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk money. Economics.
Yeah.
I was really intrigued by this idea of becoming a millionaire through fishing. Is that actually realistic?
Well, realistic might be a strong word for most people, but it's certainly not impossible. The sources highlighted some fascinating, though often pretty exceptional, ways people have struck it rich in the fishing world. We're talking about these high-value catch scenarios.
Right, like those tagged fish contests. That story about Keegan Payne in Australia catching a barramundi worth $1 million in 2024.
That's incredible.
Exactly. Events like that, or like the White Marlin Open with prize pools sometimes hitting over $8 million, it's definitely a bit like winning the lottery.
Yeah, a long shot.
The long shot. Then you have these rare instances like Chandrakant Tare in India earning $180,000 from a type of fish called gol, and the famous bluefin tuna auctions in Tokyo, where one perfect fish can fetch tens of thousands, maybe more.
But these are outliers, right? Not a reliable path to wealth.
Generally, no. Consistently making millionaire-level money just from catching individual valuable fish usually requires large-scale commercial operations.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about commercial fishing as a business? Is that a more sustainable route to serious money? It can be, but it comes with major challenges and costs. Industrial operations targeting high-volume species, think Alaskan king crab or Peruvian anchoveta, can generate massive revenues, millions of dollars. But the overheads are huge, too. Fuel, quotas, vessel maintenance, labor. It's a tough business.
Right.
Aquaculture or fish farming is another avenue. The source mentions smaller, like backyard cage setups in places like India, generating maybe $1,000 to $5,000 profit per unit annually. If you scale that up significantly,
It could become quite lucrative.
potentially, yes. And then you have companies like Fish People, Seafood in the U.S., building a successful brand around sustainable sourcing, getting into thousands of stores. That's another model.
And it seems like there are related industries, too, that can be profitable.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the gear and tech companies Furuno, Rapala, Garmin catering to this massive global market. That's big business.
Sure.
High-end sport fishing charters, especially in places like Oman, where a single trip can cost, $5,000 up to $50,000. That's a lucrative niche in ecotourism.
$50,000 for a fishing trip.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for specialized multi-day expeditions. And even reality TV, shows like Deadliest Catch prove there's money in just documenting the drama and danger of the industry.
It's interesting how sustainability is also becoming part of the economic equation now.
That's a really key point. Fisheries that get certified as sustainable, like Alaskan salmon with the MSC label, can often command better prices.
Right. Consumers are looking for that.
Exactly. And developing or using tech that reduces bycatch, like those LED gill nets that cut turtle deaths way down,
Yeah.
that can actually open doors for grants, partnerships, maybe better market access. It's good for the environment and potentially good for business.
So while maybe catching that $1 million fish is unlikely for most of us,
Yeah, probably don't bank on it.
there are definitely diverse economic paths in the fishing world, often needing innovation, good business sense, maybe a bit of luck. Now, let's zoom in on a specific region you mentioned, Oman. What makes it interesting economically?
Well, Oman has this incredibly long coastline and a really diverse marine environment, supporting several high-value species. Abalone, for example, historically fetched really high prices, like $160 to $200 per kilo.
Wow.
At its peak, the harvest was around 50 tons a year, maybe an $8 million industry. But sadly, overfishing hit it hard. Now they're looking into aquaculture to try to bring it back.
Familiar story, unfortunately.
It is. Then you have rock lobster, big export demand, especially in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
That's managed through trapping and diving regulations. Cuttlefish and shrimp are also major exports, contributing, tens of millions annually. They're working on bycatch reduction there, too, using things like LED nets.
And what about actual fish species that are valuable in Oman?
Well, hamor, that's a type of grouper, sees huge landings, very popular locally. Cherie, or emperor bream, is considered a premium fish, especially around holidays. Kingfan is valuable, potential for the sashimi market. Interestingly, Oman also has valuable sea cucumbers. There's a specific high-grade type found in certain seagrass areas near Mahout. Fetches top dollar internationally, but again, very vulnerable to overfishing.
Right.
And there are even emerging possibilities, like lanternfish. There's an estimated huge biomass, millions of tons, largely untapped potential there, though harvesting and processing are challenges.
So Oman sounds like it has this rich marine wealth, but it's also facing those classic resource management challenges we see everywhere.
Precisely. The focus now is increasingly on sustainability, exploring aquaculture, using tech for better monitoring, promoting selective gear, trying to ensure that these resources are around for the long haul, both ecologically and economically.
Okay, let's pull back to the global view again.
Yeah.
Beyond Oman, what are some of the most profitable fish species for commercial harvest worldwide right now?
Well, bluefin tuna is still king in terms of price per pound, sometimes astronomical prices for top-grade fish, but it's heavily regulated, quotas are tight. Yellowfin and bijai tuna are more abundant, still fetch very good prices, widely consumed. Cod, where stocks have recovered somewhat, offers a fairly stable profit margin, maybe around $8 a pound profit in some fisheries.
Okay.
Barramundi, especially farmed, grows fast, good market appeal, profitable. Prawns and shrimp, always high demand, good margins usually between $3 and $5 per kilo profit.
Consistent sellers.
Very much so. And then some surprises, like the Australian flathead perch, apparently can fetch up to $5,000 per fish in some markets, though that sounds niche. farmed salmon, especially from Norway, is a huge industry with solid profitability, maybe 67 per kilo profit.
It's interesting how the profit margin varies. It's not just the price tag, is it? Costs to catch or farm, abundance, that all factors in.
Absolutely. Profitability is super complex. Seasonality, regulations, gear costs, fuel, labor, market fluctuations, it all plays a part. Often diversifying, targeting multiple species is smarter than banking on just one high value but maybe volatile fish.
Makes sense. Now, for someone listening who might be thinking, okay, maybe I could start a commercial fishing business, what are the really essential first steps?
It takes serious planning. First off, you need a rock-solid business plan. That means deep market research, who buys what, where, for how much, what's the competition, plus realistic financial projections and a clear operational strategy.
Homework first.
Lots of it. Second, navigating the regulations. Licenses, permits for you, your boat, your crew, and you have to know the sustainability rules inside out, quotas, gear restrictions, closed areas. It's non-negotiable.
Sounds like a lot of paperwork and rules.
There definitely is. Then, the practical stuff. Getting the right equipment, the right gear for your target species, the right vessel for your needs and expected catch, and absolutely crucial, all the safety gear.
Right.
Building a good team is vital too, skilled, reliable crew. And then figuring out your sales channels. Are you selling to processors, distributors, direct to restaurants or consumers? You need those relationships.
And it sounds like sustainability isn't just like an ethical add-on anymore. It's core to the business.
It really is becoming that way. Using selective gear, minimizing bycatch, adapting to keep stocks healthy. It's vital for long-term viability and often for market access too. And finally, risk management insurance, good record keeping, compliance. Starting small and scaling up gradually is usually the smart way to go.
That's a really helpful practical breakdown. Okay, let's shift focus again, this time to the ethical side and even religious perspectives. You mentioned Islam's viewpoint.
Yeah.
What are the core teachings there about fishing and the sea?
Islam offers a really comprehensive ethical framework for interacting with nature, including the sea. The Quran is quite explicit. Surah Al-Ma'idah says the catch of the sea is lawful for you.
Okay.
Interestingly, this permission even holds true for pilgrims in the state of Iram during Hajj, when hunting land animals is forbidden. So seafood has this special status. It's a broad consensus among scholars, though there are some minor differences between schools of thought on, say, exact methods or whether the fish must be caught alive.
It is interesting that seafood doesn't need the same ritual slaughter as land animals in halal rules.
Yes, that's a key distinction. But, and this is important, this permission comes with a strong emphasis on ethical conduct. Humane treatment of the animals, using sustainable methods that avoid waste or unnecessary harm, being mindful of the environment, avoiding pollution, protecting breeding grounds.
So it's permission with responsibility.
Exactly. There's practical guidance for Muslim fishermen. Start with Bismillah, in God's name. Use humane capture methods. Try to ensure the catch is alive if possible. Use appropriate gear that doesn't harm juveniles or other marine life indiscriminately. And beyond the practical, there's a spiritual dimension too. Fishing is seen as a legitimate way to get sustenance, engage in lawful trade, appreciate God's blessings, and fulfill our role as stewards. The term is Khalifa of the earth.
So fishing, done right, can almost be an act of worship in that context.
You could certainly see it that way, yes. If done with the right intention and following the ethical guidelines. Now, you also mentioned treasures of the sea earlier in the Islamic context. What does that cover?
Right. Islamic teachings also talk about benefiting from other sea resources, not just food. The Quran mentions extracting ornaments like pearls and coral in Surah An-Nahl and Ar-Rahman.
Ah, okay. Pearls and coral.
Exactly. And there's a famous saying, a hadith, from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that the sea's water is purifying and its dead animals are lawful to eat. This opens the door to using various marine resources found dead, not just hunted.
So it's broader than just living creatures. Things you find in the sea are generally permissible.
Generally, yes. Organic treasures like pearls, coral, even ambergris, that waxy substance from sperm whales, is usually considered lawful if found naturally, though there was some debate historically.
Ambergris, right? Used in perfumes. Traditionally, yes. Then there's the issue of sunken things, shipwrecks, artifacts. Islamic law has rules for found property, luqata. You generally have to announce the find, try to find the owner. If it's ancient buried treasure, rikas, found at sea, it might be subject to a 1/5 religious levy, khums, similar to fines on land.
That raises interesting questions about ownership ethics.
It really does. Who owns it?
Yeah.
Public waters versus private, shoreline versus deep sea, and crucially, the environmental impact. The Quran warns against causing corruption on land and sea, so extraction has to be responsible.
Right.
Commercially, trading these treasures is generally fine. Halal, as long as there's no deception, fair labor practices are followed. Pearl diving, for instance, historically had expectations around treating divers fairly.
It's fascinating how these religious teachings provide guidance on such a wide range of issues, from catching a fish to finding treasure, all with an ethical underpinning.
Indeed. Classical scholars like Ibn Abbas, the Maliki school, they discuss these things in detail. And even modern issues like maritime archaeology or deep sea mining are being considered within this framework, balancing permissibility with responsibility. The sea itself holds deep spiritual symbolism in Islam too, metaphors for divine wisdom, things like that.
It really shows that deep, long-standing connection between the culture and the marine world. Okay, let's bring it back to Oman again. We talk economics, but what makes it a notable fishing destination? Where are the hotspots?
Oman's huge coastline, over 3,000 kilometers, offers just incredible diversity for anglers. Finding the best spots means understanding the underwater geography, the seasonal movements of fish, even watching for natural signs.
Like what kind of signs?
Well, places where cliffs drop steeply into the sea, like near Kantab village near Muscat, often have underwater structures that attract fish. The mouths of wadis, where fresh water runs into the sea after rains, create nutrient-rich zones that pull in bait fish.
Makes sense, and seasons must be critical there.
Hugely. The north coast, Musandam down to Muscat, sees peaks for sailfish, mackerel, yellowfin tuna in winter, maybe December to March. Mahi-mahi are more common September to May.
Okay.
Down south, near Shuaimia, April can see big gatherings of giant trevally GTs. And the calmer seas from September to April are prime time for bottom fishing in the Dhofar region. Watching birds diving can signal bait fish schools, and fishing tidal rips those strong currents, maybe 2-4 knots, can be really productive for pelagics.
So reading the water, reading the signs, are there specific famous spots in Oman?
Oh yeah. Dibba, up near Musandam's deep drop-offs, famous for trolling for sailfish. Offshore from Muscat, finding thermoclines, those temperature breaks at maybe 30-50 meters, that's where you often find amberjack. Shuaimia, known for GTs, especially hitting surface poppers on a morning high tide. And the seamounts off Hasik in the south are prime bottom fishing grounds during the calm season, September to April.
And what gear or techniques work best in those areas?
It really varies. Surf casting with long rods for kingfish along rocky shores. Fly fishing the flats near Koryat for permit is getting popular. Deep jigging off Muscat with heavy jigs for amberjack and other duck dwellers.
Right.
And you need to know the rules. Licenses are usually handled by charters. There are size limits, like for hammer. Using tech helps too. Apps like FishBrain for local reports, satellite chlorophyll maps,
Wow.
and safety's key. Avoiding the monsoon down south, June to August usually. Using circle hooks for billfish. Being careful around coral. It's all part of responsible fishing there.
Sounds like Oman really offers a diverse, potentially amazing fishing experience if you do your homework. Okay, let's get practical now, some how-to stuff. The sources had tips for catching specific things: shrimp, octopus, lobster, crab. Let's start with shrimp. How do people usually catch them?
Several ways for shrimp. Trapping is common baited pots left on the bottom. Cast netting works well in shallows, especially at night, maybe using a light to attract them.
Right.
Commercial guys often use trawls, dragging nets, but that comes with concerns about bycatch and habitat damage, so it needs careful management. You can even catch some shrimp species on a tiny hook with bait using a rod and reel.
Okay. Any tips for finding them?
Yeah, outgoing tides are often good. Nighttime is usually better. Look for muddy or sandy bottoms near estuaries or creek mouths.
Got it. Okay, shrimp seem doable. What about octopus? They seem trickier.
They can be. Potting is a classic method using clay or PVC pots as artificial dens they'll crawl into. In rocky areas at low tide, you can try hand gathering. Carefully looking in crevices, under rocks, wear gloves.
Definitely.
If you dive, spearfishing on reefs can work. And sometimes you can even catch them lure fishing, working a lure slowly along the bottom near structures. They like dawn and dusk and rocky areas where they can hide. Handle them carefully. They can bite.
Good tip. Okay, lobster, another prize catch. How do you get those?
Trapping is the main commercial method. Baited pots or traps, usually checked daily. Make sure traps have escape apps for undersized ones. For recreational folks, especially divers, hand catching around rocks and ledges is common. Sometimes using a tickle stick to gently coax them out. Snaring, using a loop on a pole, is another specialized technique.
When's the best time?
Usually night or twilight hours. Rocky reefs, ledges, seagrass beds are good spots. And crucially, know the regulations. Size limits, sex restrictions like egg-bearing females, closed seasons. They vary hugely by location.
Absolutely critical. Okay, last one in this group. Crabs. Often feisty. How do you catch crabs?
Crabbing is pretty popular. Traps or pots baited and set in shallows, estuaries, rivers are common. Hand lining is simple and fun, just a baited line, wait for a tug, then scoop them up with a net.
I've done that.
Yeah, it works. And hand gathering at low tide, checking under rocks and pools again. Gloves are a good idea. They pinch.
They sure do.
Look for muddy or sandy bottoms, often near marshes or mangroves. Check traps regularly. And same as lobster, know your local size and catch limits. For all these shrimp, octopus, lobster, crab timing, location, using the right gear, and being sustainable are key.
That's really valuable practical advice. Okay, let's broaden out again. Essential tips for beginners, especially line fishing, which is where most people start. Lure selection.
Yeah, that can be confusing at first. A good starting point is matching lure color to water conditions. Clearer water, maybe white, silver, natural colors. Murkier, greenish water. Try brighter stuff like chartreuse, green, orange.
Okay.
And that old saying, match the hatch, it really holds true. Try to use lures that look like what the fish are actually eating in that area, local, bait fish, insects, whatever.
Makes sense. What about timing and location?
Dawn and dusk are often prime time low light, makes fish less wary, more active feeders. Cloudy days can be good too, extending that low light bite. And definitely pay attention to tides and currents, especially in saltwater. They massively influence where fish will be and when they'll feed.
Okay. And the gear itself. Anything beginners should focus on.
Sharp hooks. Honestly, it's amazing how much difference a sharp hook makes. Check them. Sharpen them. Learn to set the drag on your reel properly. Not too tight, not too loose, based on your line strength. Use a scale if you need to.
Good point.
And do a little research before you go. Know the target species, their habits, preferred habitats, seasonal movements. It saves a lot of wasted time casting in the wrong places.
And baiting a hook. Any quick tips for live bait?
Depends on the bait, but generally you want it to look natural and stay alive. Minnows. Hook lightly through the back, near the dorsal fin, or through the lips, or maybe the tail. Crickets. Through the hard collar behind the head. Crayfish. Through the tail usually works well.
Okay.
And learn one or two good knots really well. The improved clinch knot is a great all-around choice for tying hooks and lures to your line. Practice it.
Solid advice. Now, we touched on river fishing briefly. Any specific techniques that stand out for flowing water?
Yeah, rivers are different. Float fishing is excellent for slower rivers or streams. Light line, a sensitive float, carefully placed weights shot to get the bait drifting naturally with the current. Light hook, present bait like worms or maggots.
Drifting with the current.
Exactly. Then for faster rivers, feeder fishing is really effective, especially for bottom feeders like barbel, chub, bream. You use a weighted feeder packed with ground bait or pellets to draw fish in. Need the right weight feeder to hold bottom, and usually a strong hook length because river fish can pull hard.
Right. Different challenges in moving water. Okay, some really practical stuff there. We absolutely have to wrap up by stressing responsible fishing. Key principles.
It's so important for the fish, for the environment, for the future of fishing. If you're doing catch and release, handle fish gently, quickly, keep them wet if possible, protect that slime coat. Always, always get the right licenses for where you're fishing. And know the regulations before you go. Species limits, size limits, bag limits, bait restrictions, closed seasons. Ignorance isn't an excuse. Check local agency websites, tackle shops.
Crucial. And any specific conservation tips for line versus net fishing?
Sure. For line fishing, using circle hooks is a big one for catch and release survival. They tend to hook fish in the corner of the mouth, less deep hooking. Properly dispose of all used fishing line, never leave it behind, it's deadly to wildlife. And some methods, like pole and line tuna fishing, are recognized as having lower environmental impact, minimal gear loss.
Okay, and nets.
With nets, mesh size is key. Use sizes that let smaller juvenile fish escape. Check nets frequently if you're soaking them to release unwanted bycatch alive if possible. Follow all local rules on net use and consider biodegradable materials where feasible.
Oh, really vital points. Okay, as we start to reel this deep dive in, wow, we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we?
We really have. From the nitty-gritty of techniques to the big picture economics, ethics, it's a broad topic.
Yeah, understanding the different techniques, the economic value, the ethical angles, even the religious perspectives. We really cast a wide net exploring fishing.
And What strikes me is how interconnected it all is. The tech advancements driven by economics, which then raise ethical questions about sustainability, and how even ancient wisdom, like the Islamic principles, offers relevant guidance today on responsibility.
Totally. For me, I think that $1 million barramundi story was just wild. Gives the one that got away a whole new meaning, right? Or maybe just how incredibly precise the tech is becoming for finding fish.
Yeah.
That AI stuff is mind-blowing. And I also found those Islamic guidelines really thoughtful, that balance between permission and stewardship. We really hope this deep dive gave you what you're looking for, a good, solid understanding without feeling totally swamped, maybe a few of those aha moments along the way.
Yeah, connecting back to that idea of getting knowledge quickly but thoroughly, I think fishing definitely proves to be way more complex and fascinating than it might seem on the surface. It's skill, science, business, ethics, nature, all rolled into one.
So, maybe a final thought to leave you with. In this world that's getting more and more reliant on tech, how will those older skills, observation, understanding natural cycles, how will they continue to play a role in sustainable fishing and our relationship with the ocean? And what other kinds of treasures, maybe tangible, maybe not, might the ocean still hold for us as we keep exploring?
Good questions to ponder.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Why did the fish get kicked out of the comedy club? Because he was too crabby. His jokes were shellfish. And honestly, he just couldn't see the humor of the audience. Totally reeled in by the bass player's stand-up. All right, anglers, that's the finale of today's episode. If we made you laugh or scale new heights of fishing knowledge, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't flake on us now. Until next time, keep your hooks sharp, your bait smelly, and your stories only slightly exaggerated. Stay real, stay current, and we'll catch you on the next cast. Boat creaking, yo. Ha. Welcome aboard. The barnacle-brained bait biters splash. That was either a fish or me boot. Fish slapping sound. Oh, that trout's got a left hook like a sailor on shore leave. Seagulls screeching, seagull echo. Even the gulls are getting funky. Drop the anchor bass. Beat drops fishing real scratch like a DJ turntable. Wub wub wub. Whale. Hello there. Pirate laugh. Yo-ha-ha. This be Captain Codswallop coming to you live from the 7 silly seas. Bubbling sound, followed by bloop, bloop, bloop in robot voice, initiating deep sea dad joke protocol. Why did the fish blush? Because it saw the ocean's bottom. Fish fart sound plus air horn. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe before I feed it to the Kraken again. Dramatic tuba, BWAAHHH. Till next tide, keep your tackle tight and your stories fishier than your socks. Water splash plus pirate accordion outro. This has been The Real Deal.